Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jaylee. This is JayLeesCorner, child. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. I was not live yesterday, so I am live today. Okay, and I just want to get into a couple of things for a little bit of a minute. Okay, so y'all see the thumbnail, y'all see the title of the video, and I had posted on my Twitter yesterday because all this stuff with Amanda Seals, her autism diagnosis or non-diagnosis, and the things going on with that, I was like, I think I want to, just put my little toe, put my little toe in it, to give my opinion, okay? I tend to keep my actual job, work life completely off social media. I don't, y'all don't even know what I really do or what atmosphere is. And now, Mike, for the first time, my actual job coincides with what is happening on social media and stuff or whatever. So I'm like, I just gonna want to tip my little toe in it to discuss the whole Amanda Seals autism, being diagnosed, how much does it cost, and blah, blah, blah. Now, we're going to get to that in the end because we're not going to be here but maybe for like an hour, okay? I got an hour to give y'all, and that's about it or whatever. But I want to, discuss a couple other things first, just to give y'all a full show, okay? But thank y'all to those who are watching live. Thank y'all to those who will watch the replay. I appreciate it all, okay? We know that the NFL draft is still going on here in Detroit, so folks, out here in these streets, I'm not. It is summertime here today. It is in the 80s today. Okay, I have my air conditioner on, so y'all hear a little humming in the background or whatever. It's the air conditioner that is on. Okay, we're gonna get to a little Diddy little thing, little R. Kelly, little Jeezy and Jeannie Mai or whatever, and then we're gonna all continue on with our day. But y'all know first thing first, if you've not done so already, take a moment and subscribe to my channel. Become a whole JayBird, dot, because it's the thing to do. You can also like, comment, and share this video too. Okay. Now, follow me on social media at JayLeesCorner on IG, Twitter, and TikTok. I'm here. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Okay, I hope again that everybody had a good old day or whatever. I was conflicted, y'all. How y'all doing? I was very conflicted on even coming on live to this, because when I first saw Amanda come on her live and she said how she was not clinically diagnosed with autism, I was like, it is about to be a storm of people who don't like her, who is going to have a field day with it. And I want to, because I wanted to listen. I think people felt like she was using autism as an excuse for her behavior. And I'm like, that's not what I got from it. But we're going to get into that in a little second. But that's not what I got from what she said. I think that is what people put on it, because some folk was like, oh, she trying to say because, and I didn't get that from it. Because and again, I don't know who watched the whole interview she did with Shannon Sharp, who also saw the live she did on her IG, and I did. I also know that sometimes, everybody don't have a chance at the time, child, to listen to what you say. Because some folks just do like, Amanda, that's just a fact of what it is, okay? But I feel like a lot of the comments that I have been seeing are based on people's information coming from other people and not people's opinions coming from seeing what she said and the follow-up behind it. I also feel like it's irresponsible for anybody to even have a conversation about autism and not give it the space it needs, because autism is such a huge, it can't be a small conversation. It just can't. And I feel like the 60-second conversation or 2-minute conversation that she had with Shannon Sharp, you can't even attest to what somebody went through, who they talked to, what made them think they were autistic, and who even suggested that they try to get diagnosed. So I feel like the most irresponsible part of it was the conversation wasn't elongated. Because in my opinion, Shannon Sharp may not be the best person to have a conversation about a person thinking they have autism being diagnosed, not clinically, but them being aware of what they feel, talking to a therapist who would then suggest, okay, this is what I think it is, you should go get diagnosed. Okay, so I want to get into that, but we're going to get into that in a little bit of a minute, because I want to be sure I get my full thoughts out on it, because my actual job, where I have been employed for the past 9 years, is, I won't know where I work, but I work at a center that diagnoses people with autism. Also, we see children who were diagnosed with autism and they get ABA therapy. We also have clinicians who see people, adults and children, for different mental health issues. So I also know what's required to be diagnosed. I also know insurance stuff, because I have to do all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like a large conversation about autism and diagnosing of it happens in a space where the person talking about it was not talking about it with a person who even knows what questions to ask, or to just be understanding and ask the right questions to further give information to people who are listening. I like the fact that it opens up the conversation of autism and what it means in our community. Because if you do not, and I am not speaking as a clinician, I am not giving anybody medical information, I am not breaking any HIPAA laws, I am not speaking on anyone who has been seen where I work. I'm just giving general information I would give if someone called into our center to ask questions. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to eat JB's don't do that. Okay. I'm gonna be very deliberate in my conversation. But hey, how y'all thank God for popping in and stuff. I watched interviewing and Shannon Sharp answered the question asking if she was diagnosed, and she said yes, there is a clinical diagnosis of autism. Right. We're gonna get into that. Okay, we will get into that. Amanda also said she knows why people don't like her after we were in the interview, but she said she's not changing because someone not liking you doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. There are people who don't like me that talk fast. I'm not gonna stop talking fast. That's just how I talk. So, but we're gonna get into that too. Okay, we will get into that. I'm gonna start these so I can go back. I watched her interview and my thoughts of her remain the same. It's the reason I unfollowed her years ago. And see, that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? But my conversation would not be about people liking Amanda because you know what I'm saying. That's not my. That's my. I'm not going to live on, die on, retreat on, go to a hill of Amanda Seales and die there. It's not. However, I do feel like there is a more nuanced conversation needed to understand certain things. And no matter if Amanda is autistic, not autistic, whatever, people feel how they feel. You know what I'm saying? Like her or not. It's just a conversation. But I want to get into other things first before we get into that, because that's gonna be the end of it all. So that way I don't have to, answer questions throughout the whole live. About what she said and my thoughts on it and whatnot. So, wait, where's my little thing at? Where's my thing at? These are the topics for us that I came up with, because yesterday I was like, there's not much going on, so I don't know what I'm gonna do live on Friday. I was not in the right headspace, so I was like, no, I'll do a live today. And let me see, I just wanna look at some stuff. So again, we're gonna get into the Amanda Seales part towards the end, so if y'all can please hold your comments then, because I don't want to miss stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I want to, again, that's the end part. I want to get to the beginning part right now. There's some little fun, not fun, but there's some other stuff to discuss or whatever. And some folk, will just have to be there. Happy birthday. Okay, happy birthday to Lizzo, who turns 36 years old. Now, I think her outfit is a little bit, I was like, what? It's a huge coat, okay? She on top of the world in a big ass coat. Is she boxing? I don't know. But happy birthday, child! I did not know she was a child. Lizzo be like, I'm gonna show my body. You gonna like it. So Lizzo, the coat is just a lot, okay? But again, you turn 36 or whatever. You want to be extra, be extra, extra. We are about it, okay? And when folk don't like you, yes, go out here and show off, ma'am. Show off. And because Lizzo is almost like somebody like Amanda, where some folk don't like her and she don't care. Okay, kiss my grits. Okay, I'm gonna be up on top of this helipad, the helicopter landing pad or whatever. I'm gonna be in this big ass coat. And under my coat, I am in my bra and my panties. And if you don't like it, I don't care. So not kudos, it's not like, what I'm saying. Happy birthday to the Lizzo. And again, some folks love Lizzo at first. Some folks did not like Lizzo. It's the thing. People like you and not like you. People fickle. So one thing I want to take away from all the activities recently is like, we have to remember to not put that much stock into who likes you and just like yourself, because once people who usually support you change their mind and they don't like you no more, you have to love yourself. You hear me? So again, that's what I applaud and appreciate about Amanda, also Lizzo, and anybody else who feel like, oh, they love me. Hell, Neo. We love Neo until we found out Neo was around here being a not polygamist, but Neo was around here planting his penis where it wants to go, or whatever, and allegedly, bike slamming a baby mama. So we love Neo. We used to, and now we like, I don't know. I question Neo's antics. We used to love Aura of thee, and not no more. Okay, because he's guilty as sin. So again, and I'm just comparing, you know what I'm saying? Child, we love folk and we don't know more. But Lizzo, happy birthday, ma'am. Happy birthday. Y'all favorite bishop around here in the new suit. Every time he in a new suit, I'm gonna show y'all. Because why? Because he want to show off. You know what I'm saying? He want if Bishop Robbery want to show off his threads, he got from City Trends. Okay, he got from She by Sheen or he by He. I don't know. Maybe his stuff is He by He and not She by She. But when he want to show off his outfit, okay, and when he got made from the swap meet of New York, and it's also because he in New York. When he's in, I think he live in Jersey. I think he live in Jersey. I feel like he live in Jersey. He be driving over to New York. Okay, anyway, but you know he close to New York or whatever. His little matching shoes. Okay, his little those are Dorothy's ruby slippers that Bishop Robbery out here wearing. I seen pieces of it, but I have not watched the whole thing. Neo can sing. Like Neo is a talented individual. You know what I'm saying? That's why seeing his other side is so disheartening. Because, sir, you should have just kept it private. But I have not watched the whole thing. I've seen the clips of it. But Bishop Robbery said, I want y'all to know that I got a new suit or whatever. He also said, my socks the same. Okay, my socks are the same. Because we showed it the other day, y'all. Now, I don't know if maybe he only has one pair of them socks. Or maybe he has 1,000 pair of them socks. And because I have 1,000 pair of black leggings. I have 1,000 pair. Y'all, look. My favorite jogger pants are these jogger pants from Old Navy. Oh, I love them. I have like 15 pair of black. Well, like in each color. I got like black. I got red. I got like a pinkish color. But again, you have a whole bunch of this, a whole bunch of the same thing. So maybe he has 14 pair of the same socks. The same way I have 50,000 pair of black leggings and 50,000 pair of black jogger pants from Old Navy that I love, that are so comfortable. Okay, it's like a pillowcase. So maybe they ain't the same socks. Okay, maybe he's not at the house doing try-on hauls, not wearing the same socks. Okay, maybe the socks is always different, even if the design is the same. I don't know. But I feel like he wants y'all to see his socks and his tie. Now my thing will be this. I wear black jogger pants or black leggings, and I change everything else though. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, why are you wearing the same color socks, but the sock color don't match the outfit color? Ain't no red Gucci socks. Was it Gucci? It was not Gucci. But he ain't got no red socks. Do they only come in brown? Because I feel like if Louis Vuitton or Gucci is making a reddish suit, they would also make the socks to match. That's just my opinion. Because they want you to look spiffy. Anyway, that's y'all Bishop. He also want to show y'all that he was at his daughter dance competition, and that jacket that he wore a long time ago, whatever. He was liking attention. Okay, we don't care. But again, y'all Bishop is around here in his new suit, y'all. He got a whole new bag. Okay, and I'm having a whole try-on haul for my outfits, and my socks will be the same socks, even if they different socks. I don't know. Anyway, that was my Bishop Robbery. Because y'all know he be on live or whatever, and I don't be caring that much. So I be like, well, let's have a little bit of a Bishop Robbery chit chat, because he keep posting himself in these new swap meet suits. And I say swap meet only because I just don't feel like they come from Louis Vuitton or Gucci or Fendi or Prada or wherever he said they come from. A part of me just feel like they come from somewhere else. Now the shoes are from wherever. That's fine, but I would put on some red socks. Put on some red socks. Anyway, Rihanna. I want to make sure I unlike stuff. Rihanna around here looking gorgeous. Now, first of all, Rihanna China's it's a blonde. That's a wig, I think. I think it's a wig. What's in the wig? I don't know. But the hair looks good. Okay, the hair looks really pretty. Now y'all know Fenty is the beauty. I love my Fenty Beauty lipstick. I love my Fenty Beauty skin serums. What girl skin serums? Skincare stuff. But I'm like, this is a very cute dress. I love the hair. That I was going to do a fashion thing, but I forgot to put the looks from the 100 Gala. We'll discuss that tomorrow. But I love the dress color, the hair that matters, the tone of it all, her skin tone too, the lace up heels, okay, that makes it look like she may be walking on air. It's just, you know what I'm saying, like she could be barefoot. It's, I'm saying, on her tippy toes. But Rihanna said, mother of two, but looking beautiful. Okay, don't test me, bitch. I am who I am. And I said, she looks great. Now, again, I think this is a wig. I don't think she would have, or maybe she dyed her hair, you know, the little blondish, brownish color. I don't know. You know, so we shall see. But I said, she looked gorgeous. You know, and after a person has two kids, and the kids, her sons are kind of back to two sons, right? The sons are like back to back. So when you have two children back to back, you want to get your body right or whatever. You want to feel beautiful. So I'm like, she looks great regardless. Okay, so I just want to show Rihanna out here looking good, looking thicker than a Snicker. Okay, I want a Snicker bar. I want a little Snicker bar. Obviously I had this one too. I was trying to save stuff to be sure I show all of the beautifulness of the Rihannas. Okay. Because child boobs up here sitting. Y'all think maybe it's just a really good not sports bra, a really good push-up bra. Y'all think Rihanna had her boobs in? Because I feel like at one point she had said that she wanted to have her boobs worked on because she's been breastfeeding or whatever. You know, and after having kids, when you breastfeed the breast, you know what I'm saying? The breasts do what they do. But I say, but it made this be a really good push-up bra. Okay. And also full boob because she's probably breastfeeding or whatever. But again, I told you, she looks good. Okay. Now, whoever Rihanna's stylist or hair person is, I'm like, you need to always be by your person to comb their hair through when taking pictures. I'm just saying. But again, she looks great, and we love us some Rihanna. Okay. Y'all, Diamond want us to care so bad that she's engaged. And I mean this in no tea and no shade, but I feel like Diamond a crime mob. To me, look, I don't want to sound mean. Oops, some water wasted. I don't want to sound mean when I say this, but I want to say, I don't know, or I don't look at Diamond as like this rap legend in her own way. You know what I'm saying? A part of me feel like maybe she has an underground following, but I feel like she just wants us to care, and we kind of don't. Now she's engaged to that man who we also don't know.
Look at that. That's that wig and go.
I gotta fight.
The wedding, it's gonna be outdoors. He wants to have two weddings, y'all. He want to have one in Atlanta and one here in Alaska.
I'm like, y'all in Alaska? First of all, I'm like, would I ever leave, you know, like I'm here in Michigan. Would I leave Michigan to go be with somebody in Alaska? It's cold in Alaska. And who wants to have a wedding? Well, maybe people who live in Alaska. But how do you meet a man from Alaska?
But I would say the one in Alaska probably would be first. I don't know. It depends on how filming is set up. But I know that in Alaska, they say it kind of started getting a little windy towards September. And right now, the snow has pretty much went away.
Am I getting Alaska mixed up with Antarctica? Maybe I am. I don't know.
It's still like a little snowing around in areas, but I ain't even tried dresses on, but I got a couple of ideas. Probably tomorrow. I'm gonna start in Atlanta tomorrow and start looking at some dresses or meeting with some designers.
So are you in Atlanta, child? Anyway, if y'all care, she get married. I'm probably gonna have her on the show, but we don't care either. Let's get into Ray. No, first, no, Simon. Child, Simon. What is she wearing? A travesty, a bodysuit that has a body on it, which is weird to me. Simon Rubadia is child still out here looking for attention, if you ask me, because sometimes I am a full-fledged believer that sometimes it's okay to just ignore people and not give them the time of day because they're not worth it. Now, Simon is, in my opinion, I know he is responding to Fallon. Okay, because y'all know Fallon was around here, and Fallon was saying that Dennis told her that Porsha and Simon have been messing around for about a year before they announced being together. So Simon posted up 13 hours ago, I've increased the cash reward for any credible receipt of my cheating of any spouse from 6/14/2019 through 2/22/24. Reward has changed from 50,000 to 100,000. Challenge others to do the same. What? Now, if my ex-wife, who I'm already divorced from, and she already has babies with somebody with babies, she already has a child with somebody else, and the child was born before we were legally divorced, why would I care what she said? And if I'm currently going through a divorce with my current wife, why would I care? Simon wants attention, y'all. Simon is doing everything to keep his name in the news and in the blogs. And I was listening to Funky Dynasty the other day. I forgot what day it was. I think it was the day after Simon was posting with him. Let me see, when Simon was posting with him and Sheree and them or whatever. It was because remember, y'all, Simon was around here. Is it still up or you take it down? Let me see. No, it's up here. When Simon was posting, him with Sheree, and I was listening to Funky Dynasty, he was like, Simon in Atlanta or in Georgia, Simon isn't like this famous person. He's a regular businessman that people just know. He was like, so it's not as if someone is around Simon, especially someone like Sheree. It's not as if, oh my God, I have to get a picture with Simon because he is so famous. No one ever sees him. He was like, she's like, everybody knows Simon. He said, even I have Simon on my phone. So I was like, oh, so Simon is a regular person in Atlanta and y'all all want in the same circle. So I was like, yeah, when he was like, yeah, Simon around here in Sheree, posting pictures, it's attention seeking, and that is wrong. Okay, so Simon, I'm $100 grand. It's like, yeah, he's doing things to get attention and to keep his name in the atmosphere because Porsha ain't mentioning him. Now, Porsha again, 2 hours ago, hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all offenses. She's quoting Jesus' Bible, okay? And she putting herself out in the atmosphere by the pool, looking like, oh my God, I'm so serene. Porsha, go sit down somewhere, ma'am. Please do. Because everybody around here responding to everybody else in their own little subtle ways. Child, leave it be, okay? Save it for the Housewives of Atlanta, which I feel like is probably shooting pretty soon, if not right now. And whatnot, so we shall see. But Porsha wants y'all to see I am at peace at the house in the backyard. I don't care. Okay. And I was like, well, this is probably going to be a nasty, long divorce, if you ask me. But I also feel like Porsha and Simon, child, they kind of the same. Okay. I feel like both of them be around here posting pictures of themselves looking, unbothered or want us to believe it unbothered. Like he put up 6 hours ago. I arrived back in Dubai less than 24 hours ago, and my life has been nonstop. It's the fact that he's sitting there with the passport in his hand. Why is your passport in your hand? I mean, what happened? Why is it in your hand, Simon? But that's y'all person. That Simon wants y'all to believe that he around here living his best life. Child, who taking the photos? Is it sponsored by Hilton? Is that what the H is for? Maybe the H is for something else. Oh, the H is an Allah. I don't know. It's a restaurant. Okay, restaurants. But that's y'all person. That ain't mine. He gets on my damn nerves. I think him and Porsha kind of both get on my nerves because they like poking each other, for no damn reason. But that's y'all peoples and whatnot. So if y'all have proof, that's because somebody asked him right here. I think how many comments back. Someone right here said, "What about pre-2019? I have a kid going to college in 18 years. They could use a jump on college fund because I want $100,000." And Simon said back, I was single and mingling, meaning before 2019 or whatever I was doing, ain't nobody's business. Okay, I was single and mingling in these streets. So if I wasn't cheating on nobody. I was like, child, it's just weird, But if that's on that man, that's on that man. If y'all hear music, my neighbor just cut on his music, so you may hear a little boom, 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 pow, pow, pow. I want to touch on Ray J. So Ray J, I guess somebody came to the property. They're shooting a show around there on whatever his station is called. You got Zeus Network. Ray J has his version of his Zeus. And somebody showed up trespassing and they recorded said person. I'm assuming said person complained. Let's listen to crazy ass Ray J.
I made her get out. It wasn't no.
Yeah, I know, but you gotta be positive and gotta be
I
nice.
did. I said, look, you're trespassing. This is against the law. And she just started calling me bitch.
So look, so we don't condone bullying.
Now, Ray J with the fake face tattoos already aggravate me a lot. But I feel like he's in some kind of role because we know Ray J not right getting fake tattoos for no reason. Maybe it's some kind of movie of some sort, but again, it is what it is.
We don't condone fighting. We don't condone any of it. I don't understand why every time we like produce a show, or even just work, right? Somebody always fights. How are you thinking that we exploited you when you came into my shit unannounced? How are we exploiting somebody who came into our home on private property? And then we are in trouble because we recorded a trespasser? Wow. Good luck with that.
I also feel like, is this promotion for whatever show? Like, is anybody tuning in? Where can we even find Ray J's app? I don't even know what the app is. Maybe this is promotion for that shit.
That's unbelievable. I'm trying to help people. We're trying to do positive things. Mangina is come over to the crib to shoot her commercial. She really, like, when we doing these love shows.
The fact that Ray J is supposedly, allegedly doing a for love type of show with Mangina. Y'all know Mangina was on the Chance show that was on Zeus. Even though Chance allegedly is not into trans people, he still had a trans person on the show and then called the person Mangina. Now Mangina is apparently doing a show with Ray J. It's just weird. Ray J, okay.
We're not going, okay, we want to fall in love. Like, I'm looking for the person of my dreams. That's not, come on, y'all. We're not about to play with y'all like that. We looking for some motherfuckers that's going to come on here and have a good time. And just fucking maybe, period. Just maybe in the smallest centimeter of time, You might find somebody that you fucking with. Even if you fucking with them for a little while. I know for sure most of the people that won or connected at a love show has at least fucked around for 6 months after.
I said, at least Ray J being honest and saying, hey, we're not really trying to help anybody find love per se. We want y'all to come here, have a good time. We're going to shoot a little show. And maybe get a little girlfriend, a little cooch for a couple months, and then that's it. But I was like, Ray J, go sit down. Where's Sonya? Child, Sonya Norwood, has she lost control of the children? Ray J, get out my face. But if y'all care, Ray J is now being honest about love shows not really being for love. Why? Because they're for bullshit. Okay. Look, Karruche, I'm not gonna play it, but they were talking to Karruche, child. TMZ. Okay. Was it TMZ or was it Blackbird? If it's Blackbird, I can play it. Oh, it's Blackbird. They was, around here talking with Karruche of the Chia, whatever. And they were asking her about the whole Chris Brown Quavo thing. Look, I don't want no parts. Okay? I don't want no parts.
Been a while. I just hang out here. Yeah, it's like my home away from home almost. Okay, listen, look, I'm gonna keep it real friendly and light, sort of. Listen, I'm gonna ask. Listen, Quavo, Chris Brown, their music, now they're feuding about you. You've clearly moved on with your life. How do you feel like knowing that you're being dragged into a musical feud between these two?
I don't feel. It is what it is. I'm living my life.
Have you heard
working, paying my bills, taking time for myself, and that's all that matters. Whatever else is going on, I ain't got nothing to do with it.
Leave me out of it. Don't ask me nothing. Okay, I want no parts of them. I'm not dating them two men. They not dating me. I am over them two men. I'm around here in my bubble working, and I said this before. I said people, what you mean? Look, when two people are beefing and they bring you into their bull stuff, and you already lived through it, you have taken yourself out of it. It aggravates you because you then are brought back into it. And I kept on saying, I'm like, bringing up the Rihanna stuff, up the Karruche stuff, even up the Sweetie stuff. Sometimes we don't want to be involved in the conversation. And folks be feeling like, oh, we are supporting and protecting and trying to advocate for them. And they like, cool, but I don't want no parts. Leave me out of it. If y'all pissed off at the men or whatever, don't bring me into it. Leave me out of it. Okay? Because what happens? I'm walking through the airport and here come a damn cameraman with questions on what I said. Then what I say turns into sound bites that folk will then keep asking me. So y'all are putting me back into my trauma that I moved on from. Okay? So sometimes when folks say, hey, leave me out of that shit. If y'all beef with each other, don't mention me. I like Karruche. I do. I feel like I saw some other things. I want to get to Kiki Palmer. So Kiki Palmer says that will star in Kiki Palmer says to star in the Issa Rae produced buddy comedy from TriStar Pictures. I said, oh, y'all know if Kiki Palmer don't do nothing else on any given day, she's gonna keep a bag, a job, this and that and that. This. Now, when I see this on social, I think I seen it on TikTok, maybe on Twitter. Child, somebody said there was like with Issa Rae, the show Rap Shit, which was recently canceled. They was like, oh, her other show, Rap Shit, was just canceled. How did she have a new show when the old show? I said, y'all are so messy. Okay, look, sometimes shows get canceled. Okay, sometimes shows get canceled. But when I see people joking like, oh, Rap Shit got canceled and now this new thing, I'm like, well, it is. Issa creates a lot of different shows that we love or whatever. So let's hope that this new comedy, whether it's a movie, a TV series or whatever it may be. Okay, let's hope that it's good. There are rumors that Kiki is being looked at to possibly do something for Marvel, but nothing has been confirmed. Okay, and there are so many roles in the Marvel world that can be she can take. Is dope. We don't even know what that means yet. So that has not been confirmed, but this has been confirmed because as you see, it came from Kiki herself. So congratulations to Kiki Palmer and also to SZA. It's always a great thing when great things happen. Aura of the was trying to appeal his 20-year sentence, okay, and what he did. Okay, and what he did, he tried to appeal it to get out, and they said no. Okay, the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the conviction and subsequent 20-year sentence on y'all know what to say. Okay, stuff that he did. Okay, the child stuff at all, and minor and this and that, and then this, because he was like, I want to. You can't get off. You can't. Okay, it says, let's see, the ruling reads in part in its words, the nature of Kelly's offense is horrible, horrific. We will not second guess that exercise of discretion. They pointed out that a jury convicted him on some charges and found him guilty. It said they convicted R. Kelly on some charges and found him not guilty on several others, even after doing those absorbent tapes. Because the tapes themselves is proof of it all. It says no statute of limitations saves him, and the resulting sentence will procedurally proper, and especially under these appalling circumstances. Try to me words. Either way it go, he ain't getting out. He gonna be around there. He can't come home. Leave him in there, Jesus. Look, my thing is this. I am 42. I saw the tapes. Back when you had to have a VCR and fix the tracking with the tracking button, that's when I saw the tapes. And even I said, that is our other. Hey, best friend. Hi, best friend. I love you. Okay, I be singing, y'all. I be singing. But even I said back then, that was him. That was him. Because y'all, look, if y'all don't know, the tape had like multiple pieces of it, you know? So I'm like, even if, and I was young back then. So I think I had to be a teenager when that first trial happened, if I'm not mistaken. Because I can't remember all I know is it was a VCR that we had to use, okay? So, you know, he is still around there. Leave him in there. He can't get out. He can't get out. He did it. He did it. He did it. He did it too. Now, even though with the Harvey, the Weinstein, he had stuff in 2 different states. So I think the New York stuff is what got him a possibly new trial. However, he still was in California serving 16 years. Well, that man been hospitalized. Okay, they get him to the hospital. Okay, he was hospitalized in New York following an appeals court ruling to overturn his 2020 conviction. According to his lawyer, Arthur something else, the former movie mogul was moved to Bellevue Hospital in Manhattan after his arrival on Friday to city jails. They examined him and sent him to Bellevue. It seems like he needs a lot of help physically. He got a lot of problems. He's getting all kinds of tests. He's somewhat of a train wreck health-wise. Well, because some child, look, you want to know why? Because of his lifestyle. What he is written all over his face. I feel like sometimes with some people, when they're going down, it radiates over their face. And a lot of folks were saying before, even though the New York stuff was overturned. He gets a new trial. He got to do 16 years in LA. And some folks say he may not even make it to 16 years. So him being hospitalized because he has all these ailments with his body, whatever. God will have the final decision. Whatever happens, let him be where he at, and that's it. And again, he has to, once he's out the hospital, he still has to go back to prison for the 16 years for the charges in California. Okay, so Aura of the is not getting out, but neither is Harvey Weinstein. He ain't at all. The Housewives of Potomac update. Even though they at first said that Kiana Stewart was not coming back, she has snagged a last-minute contract. And Kiana, who was the girl who was fighting Deborah on last season, who and Deborah ate on the show, but Kiana will be back next season. Okay, we also seen in addition to that, we seen Wendy, posting, happy that the girl back. We seen Karen happy that a lot of people wanted her back anyway. No word on if NECA will come back. Some folks don't want her back. I don't want her back or whatever. But we shall see. Now on top of that as well, okay, because again she's back. Gonna come back. TV Deets then said that a new person named Stacey Rush will be joining season 9. Now, if anyone who lives, I guess, in the DC area, she's a well-known person. She has her own dedicated hour on QVC. It says she also appeared as a reporter and host of Fox 5's Morning News and Good Day DC, and as an anchor and reporter on ABC's Good Morning Washington. So she is allegedly joining as a full-time housewife as well on season 9. Let's hope we like her. Let's hope she's nice. Okay. Let's hope she got, what I'm saying? Child, that's her husband. Okay. That was so messy, Jaylee. I'm sorry. I'm just, oh God. I'm just, child. Sometimes you see white people and you be like, oh, they're white. Okay. I had to just take in the information. But again, my suggestion is to people, y'all don't have to watch the show, okay? Watch us. Let the YouTubers watch, and y'all can watch us. And that way, because I want Giselle gone. I don't want the show canceled. I want Giselle gone. And if enough people just don't watch and say we won't watch while Giselle is on the show, and they see that in the ratings, they will hopefully get rid of Giselle. Okay, but let's hope that this newbie, okay, Stacey is RUSCH, is a new addition to the show, and good things will happen from that. Okay, but we shall see. We shall see. Diddy. I'm rushing through a little bit. I don't need this anymore. Diddy, who we know has a few different lawsuits around here. Diddy was asking, he filed a motion to have parts of the SA lawsuits dismissed. And I said, Diddy, did you do it? Now, it says, according to court documents, Diddy has requested to dismiss the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th cause of action against him with prejudice. It says he acknowledges that the Adult Survivors Act has revived specific claims for which the statute of limitations has run. However, he argues that the act does not allow a plaintiff to revive claims under a law that did not exist when the misconduct allegedly happened. Now, that's a loophole if I ever seen one. That's a whole loophole. Again, his point is, okay, cool, people can bring up stuff if it happened while this law was in effect, but you should not be able to bring up these claims when the actions happened, this wasn't a law. Now, we shall see if it works. Because it happened in 91. The alleged assault happened in 91. And so it wasn't a law back then. The law did not go into effect until 2007. So that's a loophole. Now, it does not mean that the whole case is thrown out. Just those particular at the third, fourth, or fifth, sixth causes of action. But did you do the rest of the shit, Diddy? I feel like Diddy it's gonna be a long battle. It's gonna be a long battle, and Jeezy's gonna have to fix it. Child, we can't. I did our oven. Let's just get to, we almost done, y'all. We got this and then Amanda. So I want y'all to take one little second, y'all, and like the video, please and thank you. And we're back. Let's get to the little part of Jeezy and everything, and then we will get to the Amanda Seals of it all. Jeezy and Jeannie Mai, you know how you don't expect something to get so messy, and every time you think it can't get messier, it gets messier. Okay, so we know that Jeannie Mai was accusing, Jeezy is not, she did not feel safe around him or whatever. It's the whole Cusky battle. It's her accusing him of having guns around the house or whatever. Well, documentation is shown, okay. Jeannie showed, and you can tell this is, you can tell that this is still shots from cameras in a house of Jeezy, walking around the house with allegedly an AK-47. Now, first of all, I want to make something clear. My ex, an ex I have on 2 separate occasions saw him with an AK-47. Both times, I mind you, I said, what the fuck you need that for? Crazy. And I just feel like something within this whole thing of people not wanting to accept that it is possible that Jeezy, who told us Jeezy liked to drink, he liked to smoke, he liked Arm & Hammer with his coat, he hid the yams at his auntie house. There could be things about Jeezy that could be troubling, but maybe not marriage ending at the time. The same way that Jeezy thought he got with somebody who would put up with whatever he was going through, and he then found out she wasn't the one. I think they both figured out this ain't what we want. Okay. I don't feel like anybody needs an AK-47. You know, it's one thing to have handguns around the house. It's something completely different when you see your spouse walking around the house with a chopper. In my opinion, I feel like that's a valid concern to say. I don't know why. It's one thing if he had a handgun, okay, because everybody has the right to bear arms that you can legally carry or whatever. But there is something different when you find out, oh, it not you. Oh, you have an do y'all know what a chopper is? That's what you have that when you go to war. That is made to take out a lot of people in a quick amount of time. And I feel like there would never be a reason for anybody around me to need, unless we live over in the countries where there's a consistent war and people may bust in your house or whatever. Like, that's dangerous. You know? And I think the gotcha is that people don't get that when you're going through a divorce, you sometimes have to put forth proof of what you may be scared of or what you were scared of in the marriage. And now that you are not in the house, to be sure that the said chopper, you know, isn't sitting not even, you know, here in Michigan, just I think last week, a 8-year-old who was at home with both parents and siblings in an apartment complex here. It happened in Warren, Michigan. The 8-year-old got a hold of a gun and shot themselves in the face while both parents were there. So I feel like when people try to make it seem like she just wants to make it sound like he's dangerous. If he walking around the house with a chopper in his pajamas, you know, something may not be right. Because why do you need to do that? For what? So it aggravates me that people want to make it seem like, oh, she's crazy. She didn't mind it when she married him. I don't think when she married him, she said, let me see your gun stash. Let me see. Again, they was only married for maybe a year or two? Or whatever. It wasn't that much. So I feel like, one, we don't know what goes on in people's marriages. And also, that's why I always say you should know who you're marrying before you get married. Jeezy and Jeannie Mai got together during the pandemic. They got married during the pandemic. When you are rushing to, and that's why I always say, the person you meet in the beginning is the representative. Once you are in the house living together, and it's now a year later, you then see, oh, you're a little insane. I married an insane person and I did not know it. So you can also marry somebody and you have no idea they're psycho until they marry you. Like, let's not act like, you know, her showing proof of him walking around the house with an AK is not weird. Period. Also, because I see, oh, why would she say? It's weird when folks say, why does she want to work it out? Why does anyone want to say, hey, we can't have you walking around with an AK-47, but I want one? We have to discuss that. Because being in a marriage as an adult does not mean the first time you see something weird, divorce. You're supposed to, the point of marriage and relationship is to work through shit. You know what I'm saying? So even Jeezy, because I'm not saying she was, I'm not trying to make it seem as if she was perfect and he's this big bad wolf. My point is both of them had to try to work things out. The same way he say she's controlling in how she is as a parent. Jeannie has to work on if she is controlling, work on that. But at the end of the day, if I see on the cameras you walk around with an AK, a chopper, that's and come on now, come on. Divorces get messy. Things, not even a marriage, in a relationship, you can be dating a dude, okay? And y'all know, as soon as you break up, the issues that you both just said, oh, whatever, while together, that's why your food ain't shit. That's why your dick little. Stuff that you put up with while together in the breakup, these are my issues of why we broke up. Yes, I stayed through your bad cooking, your stanky feet, your small dick, okay, your AKA, your AK-47, your possessive ways. However, in divorce, let me bring up all of the little things that I did not like about you, that I accepted because I was trying to make it work and not be picky. You know? The same way folks say, well, if he pushed her down the stairs, why she stay? Because clearly she tried to work it out and it did not work. And I think that may be why she was shocked that he filed for divorce. Because I thought we was working on it. But in divorce, even in breakups, even in friendship breakups, and even I would never use, but some folk when fake friends break up, and then you try to air the person out for stuff that was their flaws, but they were your friends. See, I knew she wasn't shit. I knew that she was lying to people. She was cheating her husband. She stole gas from gas stations. She stole food from the store. But while she was doing it, it was an issue. You know what I'm saying? So like people need to understand things that you put up with in relationships is what comes out in the divorce. Because now you're pissed. Now it's messy. And both people want to win. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, Jeezy around here walk around the house in his pajamas with an AK is not, it's not a handgun. You know what I'm saying? Those things is made to do damage. Well, I think he can't. Child, you can't refute the picture. You can't even when Kiki Palmer, was saying how what she went through her dude, and you saw still images from the video footage, from the video footage. So I'm saying, and it's different. Even when she may not even home. Who knows? What we do though is nobody at the house should be walking around with AKs at all. Period. Okay. So, Jeezy being caught on camera, walking around the house with an AK, to me, if I wasn't home, where the fuck you get an AK? And why did you have it out? Why? So of all you went and picked it up and was walking through the house with it, and then again, the fact that the one picture showed that he's carrying, but it's also laying on the ground, which is proof that sometimes this stuff is out, and we have a daughter. So again, I need to be sure that the weapons that he has are always put up. Why? Because his proof is sometimes it's not. Anyway, this will probably get messier as it goes along because neither one of them is going to let up. They're not. Period. Now, hopefully the child doesn't suffer because of it. Hopefully Jeezy gets his invitations or he will get the blunt put up or whatever. But hopefully they get it figured out. But I don't know. I don't know. I want to get to Amanda Seales. Again, you know, a lot has happened because of Amanda going on the Shannon Sharpe show. So I want to first show something that she said. She posted this on her IG. Of course, the comments are turned off. She is stating what was said and what she replied back on the interview. Shannon asked her, you know, but have you been clinically diagnosed? Her response was yes, there is a clinical diagnosis for autism. He then hung his head and exhaled in frustration because I did not answer his question. That is called deflection. Why? Because I was not going to be pressured by this man who was interrogating me with absolutely zero love for me into proving something to him that that by his line of questioning, he had already committed to undermining. I understand my response may be confusing to some, but I am clarifying it as I did in my live, and that is enough. Because in her live, someone asked her, was she clinically diagnosed? And she said, no, I have not been clinically diagnosed. So, Amanda was saying she wasn't specific enough in her response. I also, and again, as I said earlier, I am not defending Amanda specifically. I am trying to clarify how people are taking short clips and short statements, and then they are broadening what they feel she meant. They're trying to broaden how they feel like she tried to mislead and use an autism diagnosis to get sympathy or to make people feel as if that was why things happened. And in my opinion, as I agree with her saying, she deflected because that was not a space where she felt comfortable having that conversation. I have worked at a center that diagnoses people with autism. We see children who have autism and they get ABA therapy. We see kids who get speech therapy for autism. We also have clinicians and therapists who see people for mental health issues. And I have been there for 9 years. I am the person who does all of the billing. I get all of the authorizations. I have all of the conversations with trying to get people in to get diagnosed, and all of that. That's part one. Okay. There is a large misunderstanding about autism. Now, each state is different. Each insurance company is different. Each thing that someone is even trying to do is different. And the part that I feel like people are misunderstanding is there are people, I am not a clinician. I am not giving anyone medical advice. I am not giving any information that is breaking any of the laws. I am not speaking on any individual who has ever been to our center for services. I am speaking in general as I would do to anybody who would call to ask questions. Boom. Amanda we saw a 3 hour and 10 minutes interview that was also cut down because Amanda said that pieces of the interview were cut out, meaning they had a long conversation, and it was even longer than we knew because again things were cut out. Having a over 3 hour conversation with somebody that you feel is questioning you at every turn. I feel like some people did not even watch all of the interview. And they formed an opinion based on the clips they saw on social media. And I always say the details are not in the clips. The details are usually in the long, drawn out clinical notes, everywhere. And that's the get you gotcha. What I'm going to do is, because I want to make sure that my thoughts are, so I'm not on a page where I can see y'all stuff, because I don't want to get confused. So if y'all are talking to me, I can't see it, at all. I don't want anyone to feel as if I'm talking to them. I'm talking from my expertise and what I know about autism and being diagnosed, for me working in that industry for 9 years. Period. So, part 1, I don't think people even asking, well, why did she tell us this? I feel like it was an interview to get to know her. She was talking about her life. So much, she brought up so much other stuff, even her depression, even her having a mental breakdown. It was so much she discussed. The autism stuff is a small part that everyone now is picking apart. Amanda's in her 40s. Okay. You can be diagnosed or advised that based on symptoms you have and things that are showing present in you, that you are on the spectrum. You can be told that from different clinicians who know what to look for. And then they will say, because of all these things, more than likely, you're probably autistic. You're on the spectrum in some kind of way. However, you have to go be diagnosed if you want a clinical diagnosis. The difference is when you are a person who is in your 40s or even adults, sometimes they do not go get a clinical diagnosis. However, even having the conversation with their therapist, whether it's a psychologist, if it's a licensed math therapist, whatever the person is, whatever the clinician is, having the conversation and it's feeling like, okay, I do all of these things. I feel better knowing this is why my brain works this way. It does not mean that anyone who doesn't like me or if anything I've done is because of autism. What it means is if I had a tantrum when I could not control my emotions, I now get why I did that. I still did it. And in her head, but this is why. That's part 1. Part 2 of being diagnosed. Most insurance, did y'all know that at least here in Michigan, because I speak Michigan, at least in Michigan, until around 2018, I think it was, because in 2015, when I started at my job, most insurances stopped covering autism services at 18. If you were over 18, you could not even get services through your insurance because autism is looked at as something in children. With autism, if you have a 16-year-old child who you've never had diagnosed before, and you out the blue say, or someone tells you they think your child is autistic, you have to jump through certain hoops to even get approved, because they're going to question, well, why now? It is hard or harder if you are Black. The testing to be diagnosed is not, you're not put on a machine. You're not given a blood test. You're not swabbed. There are different tests that is done that's like conversational, you know, graphs, this stuff. They kind of watch you and see this, that, the other. The youngest person, the youngest age you can be diagnosed is about 18 months. So again, imagine a child that's a year and a half, you know, up to 2 years old, 2 years old, being tested for autism when they're just an infant baby. There are many people who go through life and do not understand why they are who they are. We have parents who ignore that something is up with their child. Hence why I have seen teenagers come in for services. Because back in the day, in the 80s, you weren't diagnosed with autism. You weren't. A lot of parents just did not know what it was. Not all people with autism are the same either. Some people are highly functioning people, but still on the spectrum. But their brain still works differently. Also, the cost, because she brought up the cost. The cost depends on the state you live in, the insurance you have, and the place you go. It all varies. Also, it depends on who's diagnosing you. The same way you can go to your PCP, who you tell them this is what I feel, and they will misdiagnose you based on what they think. The same way we say that people will see Black patients and not want to tell us, well, no, it's probably this because we're Black. So you're stronger. So you're not in pain. It's the same thing with autism. Now, for a lot of people were not diagnosed, and that is why, when I would say, in my experience, we saw an uptick in people being diagnosed, and even parents giving their children therapy for their autism. From 2015 until around 2018, it grew. So much so, that's why at least Blue Cross Blue Shield, Blue Care Network, and a lot of the insurances had to cut off the cutoff age. Because before, you had to be 18 or younger to get services. It went from 18, they then pushed it up to 21, and now there is no age limit. But before, there was an age limit on, even if you're diagnosed, you getting care for it. As far as her, because I have a video of hers I'm gonna play too. As far as her saying about her being diagnosed, the whole misconception is her people thinking that she said, yes, I have been clinically diagnosed with autism by a clinician that is from an approved autistic evaluation center in AAEC. That ain't what she said. Even folks thinking when she said, and again, that's why I said the space to have a conversation on autism, you need more than a 2-minute back and forth with Shannon, where we already knew it was a kind of an intense, back and forth, and she did not feel the need to elaborate, which is why, what did she do? She went on her social media, on her live, and said a little bit of more stuff there. In my opinion, she should have never said anything, because people will always pick apart what you say. Just saying. I feel like people don't get autism and do y'all know the wait list to be diagnosed can be up to 6 months to a year? So sometimes you can't even get diagnosed properly because the wait list can be long. Also, because I see some stuff too. When you are hey Siri, how old is Amanda Seales?
Amanda Seales.
She's 42
years old. So
when you are a 42-year-old person trying to be diagnosed with autism, there's no, and I'm in the realm of Amanda Seales, there is nothing. She doesn't need care for it. She doesn't need medical service for it. She doesn't. Most people who are her age, who don't really need the diagnosis, don't go get clinically diagnosed from an AAEC. Most people try to get diagnosed when they're older, and this is my opinion. Well, not my opinion. It is. It's because they're trying to get some kind of benefit. Some are trying to get disability. Some are trying to get just something from it. Because when you are a 42-year-old woman, you're not going to get ABA therapy. Some people don't go get the clinical diagnosis. That does not mean they have not seen some kind of clinician who can see you have all of the signs of autism. They can also say these are the tests that they do to test you for it. However, if you want a clinical diagnosis, you can go get that. Some folk don't go get it. Some folks don't go get it. And I be looking for them. I want to address this. Some of the tests done are geared towards white males. Some, not all, because it's been rapidly changing for the past 6-7 years. At least in Michigan, I can only speak on Michigan. I can only speak on Michigan. And the wait list can be long. Depending on your insurance, the hoops sometimes to just get approved to have the testing done can be expensive, can be exhausting. The cost of it can be a couple of $1,000s. And that, again, depends on where you go. Now, Amanda said $10,000. I feel like her point, and I don't know the cost of shit in Cali. I don't doubt that somewhere she went said, because testing is not like one. You don't go and have your blood drawn and that's it. No. Diagnosis, the testing to be diagnosed is like 3 separate appointments that you go to. Okay. And you have to hope that once you are diagnosed, it's valid for wherever else you go. Period. Now, I want to pull this up because Amanda, because I can easily talk about stuff from hearing her talk, and it'll help me explain some things. Amanda went live because, and I want to reiterate this, the space of her being on Shannon Sharp's podcast, the interview thing, it wasn't the right space to do that. It wasn't. Shannon Sharp did not even know if Amanda mama was white or black. Her mama's black. And trying to have a conversation with somebody who you feel doesn't get it, you're not going to engage. So I feel like it was a huge mistake for her to bring it up, because now people are trying to be professionals based on the clip they saw on Shade Room. You know what I'm saying? People are not even trying to fully find out what the fuck she meant. Some people just don't want to understand, but I'm like, the autism part of it, she's not lying. It can be expensive. Some people do self-diagnose. They do. Because when talking to their therapists, to their other doctors who can see things, and in the conversation of it, you can figure things out. No one, and everybody, there are many people who have never been tested, but they know they have anxiety and they have some issues because they know their body. And you feel different, especially when you're talking to a therapist or a physician. So, but let's just get into it.
I want to shout out all the gossip blogs that just pressed record. Yeah, like, can we talk about the interview? There's really not anything else to say about the interview. And ultimately, I just need to protect myself because none of this shit is a safe space. Keep me. But what I was going to say.
She was live for like an hour. So I had to clip it up. This is like maybe 20 minutes or whatever. She was live for an hour. I didn't want to do a whole hour. But we're going to just, get into it.
It was that, leadership has been a real journey for me because I feel like for a long time I was unknowingly mimicking, the toxic ways that people were leading me. And
I also want to put out here, because again, some folk, I posted this on my Twitter and on my IG, because, and I have to say this is not me trying to protect Amanda. This is not me trying to, again, die on the heel of she's misunderstood, you should love her. That isn't it at all. But I also feel like my comment said, my post on Twitter said, some people are stuck in trying to make people who fucked up in their past to stay there instead of allowing them to learn from fucking up. At times, that allows people to stay fucked up people. At some point, we need people who wrong us to learn from it and be better and do better. And what I mean by that is people miss when Amanda's saying, I used to act in a fucked up way. And when she says stuff like she just said, like, hey, I was mimicking toxic ways that I was taught to do shit. And I was operating in that toxic way. And I have to learn to not do that. I think some people listen to just disagree. And I think that's why my channel is different. Because we not going to say She said she was diagnosed and she wasn't. She's a liar. No, let's have a conversation about what she said, what she meant, and when she went and elaborated on it later. Let's watch that too. She kind of just let me rewind. Let me rewind. And some people need to hear I am a fucked up person. I do fucked up things. They need to hear that to validate how they see things. They're not listening to understand. You know, that's my thing. And again, I'm just trying to make sure that no one, Jaylee said that she, you know, my whole main point was Amanda, who spoke about autism, being autistic on Club Shay Shay. That wasn't the right space because it would not be expounded upon properly. And it would then be screen grabs, the blogs posts that show what she said she was diagnosed. And she said clearly, and I'm like, she never said, yes, I was clinically diagnosed. She said, yes, there's a clinical diagnosis of autism. But y'all listen to what she said. This no, and I don't want anyone to also feel like I'm saying, listen to me, believe me, change your mind. I'm just saying, just listen to what she said.
Yeah, like, can we talk about the interview? There's really not anything else to say about the interview. And ultimately, I just need to protect myself because none of this shit is a safe space. Keep me. But what I was going to say was that, you know, leadership has been a real journey for me because I feel like for a long time I was unknowingly mimicking, you know, the toxic ways that people were leading me. And, you know, so I've had to unlearn that. And part of,
let's piece by piece it. Because some folk will hear her say that and not understand what she said. In leadership, meaning me as a boss, and leading people who are working for me, I led them in a way of me mimicking toxic behaviors I was taught by other people. And I'm trying to unlearn that. That's her acknowledging I wasn't doing shit right. But some folk need to hear say I was fucked up and I was fucked up and I was fucked up and that was. And I'm like, sometimes you have to learn to hear words outside of the norm. So I'm like, some folk will miss that because some people also don't follow her on social media. So sometimes when she is trying to be accountable for how she used to be, some folks just don't hear that. And the blogs would never post her saying that. And even if they do, no tea, no shade, some folk are not smart enough to even comprehend what she said. Because Amanda speaks in a way sometimes where you do have to you got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? She speaks in a very different way because her brain works differently. Autism aside, her brain, because of her education, her brain works differently. How she says things is different. Some folks say 2 + 2 is 4, but some folks say 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 is 4. It just depends. So again, I'm like, let's read, because some folks she just said it.
Yeah, like, can we talk about the interview? There's really not anything else to say about the interview. And ultimately, I just need to protect myself because none of this shit is a safe space. Keep me. But what I was going to say was that, you know, leadership has been a real journey for me because I feel like for a long time I was unknowingly mimicking, you know, the the toxic ways that people were leading me. And, so I've had to unlearn that. And part of that is also learning how to hire. The whole thing about,
because y'all know, I think on social media, there were former people who had worked with her, who had worked for her, like interns or whatever, who were saying, their experiences. So she has to address that. So again, I also have to learn how to hire people, because I'm hearing these complaints and I'm realizing, okay, the way I led people, the way I was the boss with other people, it was toxic. And I have to unlearn that. Again, that's why I say we have to allow people to fix their fuck ups, because if not, they'll keep fucking up. I don't know if people want people to just stay, down, like, okay, I'm gonna stay fucked up, but I learn from it, grow from it, and be better.
The autism stuff is that I realize how much I have been masking, and I realize how many ways I've had to contort my life to keep me to stop putting me in situations where I am uncomfortable, where I have meltdowns, where I respond and react. And so, it takes time to learn these things and then make adjustments. It's fascinating when you start really learning about yourself.
And again, let's break it down. Okay. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. No one is perfect. And sometimes, we are so gung-ho to break down other people, not understanding maybe they had to figure themselves out. And her acknowledging, okay, it's taking me time to figure myself out, to figure out what I was doing wrong. I need to learn how to hire people, because you have to learn how to hire people that will work with how you do things. Like for me, I'm quiet. I need quietness. I don't need anyone being loud around me. I need people to respond to my questions directly. I don't like miscommunication. I like long, drawn out explanations if it helps me understand things. So if I was to hire somebody who is loud all the time, quickly saying the wrong shit, it's going to aggravate me. So a part of being a mentor, a leader, or a boss, you do need to be sure that people you hire can work your way. It doesn't mean that it does not mean that is okay, it's fair. And I don't mean that in the way of saying if she hires someone, she has the right to be mean to them. I ain't saying that. But I do feel like you do have to know who to hire that will work for your company.
And, I think that a lot of the people who are, I think that when a lot of people say certain things about the interview, they don't understand. They're responding. They're coming from a place of not really acknowledging the fact that in certain spaces, certain dynamics shouldn't take place. In my interview, I said, if there's anyone that I unknowingly or unintentionally harmed, I apologize. And I meant that because I have had to go through such a transformation. Also in that transformation, I learned how I was harming myself. And that is something that I think was not aware, it didn't occur to me that I was harming myself. It didn't occur to me that I had toxicities attached to codependency and abandonment issues and stuff like that.
A few people have asked, I did not, because this is the reason I have not. Chris has a direct issue with Amanda, but that's Chris's experience. You know what I'm saying? That's for Chris to handle with Amanda. I've heard Chris mention it before, but Chris's experience with Amanda doesn't negate how I feel about a person I don't know, because I don't know Amanda. However, his experience, he's already said that he felt she was rude to him, because he talked about it a while ago. I think he may have went into more detail, and I feel like there's no details about what happened between them that would benefit me. You know what I'm saying? Because that's for him and her to discuss. I believe what happened wasn't like a public issue or whatever, but I haven't. The same way I haven't watched what other strangers said about Amanda, but I know they all have said the same thing, that while working with her, she was being rude in her delivery with him. But I'm like, I don't really, because their experience won't change my mind, because I already know what they said. So I'm like, that's Chris's issue to handle with Amanda. And hopefully she does have that whole, because she spoke about having people who felt she did something wrong, an open conversation. Hopefully he and her can have that conversation. But I'm like, that isn't for me to even chime in on at all. But the fact that she's currently saying in the past, I know this, that, or the other. Because I don't think what happened between him and her is even recent. It happened years ago. So if something that happened between him and her whenever ago, if she's not realizing I did things wrong, you got to grow and learn from it. And hopefully she apologizes to Chris for the situation. But, I don't have nothing to do with that.
And I see people saying things in here like, without a diagnosis, it's disrespectful to claim autism, and that's just simply untrue. Self-diagnosis is actually incredibly respected within the autism community, especially for adults and especially for Black women. They cut this out of the interview, but I explained in the interview that the reason this is because autism pathology is so specifically focused on young white males that
and it is very specific, because even white female children or adults with autism, it's just different. And that's why sometimes some people can't even get diagnosed, and it also depends on who you go to. Because if you are seeing a person who doesn't even see Black people in the same way as white people, their thinking is off, even if they're a clinician. The same way we feel like clinicians diagnose and ignore us as adults, do you not think they also ignore and misdiagnose children? So sometimes when there's enough information, when you're talking to your doctor, you can figure out, okay, this is what's wrong. All that's left to do was get the clinical. And to me, a clinical diagnosis is the same thing as saying I'm married and this is my marriage license. It means you went down to the professionals and they said, okay, yes, you're married. However, for some people, they think, because people feel like, well, I don't need a marriage license. I know I love this person and they're my person, and that, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of the same thing with autism, because again, there's no blood test to say, yes, you have this or you have that. There is no MRI or CT scan or X-ray that diagnoses you with autism. But again, in my opinion, that's why I said the autism conversation is too vast to have that conversation on Shannon Sharp show on Club Shay Shay. At all. Every location, every state, every insurance carrier is different. So I'm not saying I don't think she meant $10,000 in general. I think she meant it cost a grip for me to go get diagnosed. We don't know the kind of insurance she has. We don't know where she went. For all we know, she went to somewhere expensive that cost more. We don't know any of that. So even people saying that's a lie, because that's not true, because what it costs in Cali, it don't cost that in Michigan. The same way that if you have Blue Cross Blue Shield, your copay is $20, but if you have HAP, your copay is $10. Even if you go into the same PCP for the same appointment. So I felt like her saying 10 grand as she was talking on a live, I think folks is holding her to the amount. It's still expensive, even if it's 7 grand. It's so much, y'all. And it's so much that goes into it that I'm just saying, before y'all try to shoot down everything because y'all feel like she wasn't clinically diagnosed, so she's a liar. When that's not the whole story.
It often leaves out Black people, particularly Black women. And unfortunately, it is also incredibly expensive, particularly for adults. Like in California, it can cost up to $10,000 for an autism diagnosis.
In California, it can cost up to 10 grand. When people call where I work to be diagnosed or to get ABA therapy, and they say they do not have insurance, we don't say it's going to cost you $200, and no, we say it can range up to $5,000 a week for ABA, depending on the hours that you're being seen. The private pay for it. And if you're coming in to be diagnosed, it can cost up to a certain amount of money. Right. Child, the water more expensive in California, the air more expensive in California, the Starbucks is more, the gas is more expensive. The gas prices in California is more expensive. We have so many people who want to get services for their autistic children, who have high-ass copays, who have high-ass deductibles. Can you imagine you are a working mom and your insurance says, okay, we will cover you. Your child has been diagnosed with autism. Okay. Your deductible is $8,000. Once you meet your deductible, we'll pay for the services. You know, some parents have to meet their deductible before the insurance carrier will even pay for services. Because when you're going to get services for autism, they're specialists. You're seeing a neuropsychologist, you're seeing a board certified behavior analyst, you're seeing maybe a clinically licensed therapist. There are all these different things that goes into it. There's a wait list for testing. You want to know why? Because everyone now is trying to be tested for autism. You can't, and let's start from the kids, because if your kid has autism, let's say the doctors feel like, well, it's not really, you're just below the spectrum. You're just below the spectrum. You can't even get services to help your child get services. So imagine what a 42-year-old woman trying to be diagnosed also has to go through. And that's because I don't know if Amanda has insurance or not. I don't know. Is she in HAP, priority health? Does she admit? I don't know what it is. I don't know. Okay. So when folks make it seem as if, oh, she lied. Oh, she lied. I told you earlier, in Michigan, most insurances did not cover autism services past the age of 18. It did not change. It did not update. Was it 26? And also it depends on which insurance and what's that. We people who are in Michigan, okay, but they have an out-of-state coverage. So I think Ohio, at least as of 2023 or 2022, Ohio-based Blue Cross doesn't even cover autism. There are certain states and certain insurances that do not cover, and that's why some people have to get Medicaid, because Medicaid has to cover children with autism, which is why some people have to get diagnosed, which is also why it's sometimes very expensive if you do not have insurance. And even if you do, I have had conversations with people who say, I can't afford my deductible, so ain't no point in me coming in there. Because if one appointment for testing costs, even if it cost me $2,000, I don't have $2,000. And that's here in Michigan. So I can imagine who she went to in Cali. The same way a freaking plastic surgeon is more expensive in Cali than they would be in, let's say, some rinky-dinky town in Kansas. Okay. If a person has Medicaid here in Michigan and they have a diagnosis of autism, Medicaid does have to cover them for their services. There are many hoops to jump through to get with case managers who will get you into services for ABA therapy for your child with autism. We all know that you have to be financially on a certain level to get Medicaid. So that's a common knowledge. So, but this is also why I say people, it's a broad conversation. I've seen parents who could not get Medicaid because their income is too high. However, if you have Medicaid, they have to cover your services because you have Medicaid. That's your insurance. You also have to go to providers that is under their a provider in their network. But let's keep listening. I'm just rambling.
Thank you, Yola Fahad. And it is also oftentimes like just very kind of traumatic on the process to the autism diagnosis, because for so many of us Black women, we are not seen, we are not listened to, we are stigmatized. And so in that stigmatization, you then end up becoming re-traumatized. And so I was very careful about vocalizing my autism, like even vocalizing out loud that, because I did so much research that did say that, you know, because of these reasons, self-diagnosis is so valid. And it's also difficult to access, it's difficult to access diagnosis because a lot of the actual clinicians who perform it are not even culturally competent to be able to diagnose. And so in the neurodivergent community, like, there is such a respect for this because you know yourself. You know yourself. And one of the things that was so incredibly affirming in this process is how many people in the neurodivergent community gave me that information. Now, when I see people say things like it's not valid in the medical community, you know, the reality is that it is valid in the autism and the neurodivergence community. What I think is interesting, though, is the way that some of us prop up institutions that are notably and notoriously racist whenever we feel like we need to get some type of confirmation for something. But it's oftentimes that the confirmation is coming from a space that we don't want or that we don't regard as safe for us in the first place. You know, like, I know people are like, oh, you know, Amanda, I know that when I spoke on that show, I was deflecting around a question because it wasn't a safe space. I just didn't do a good enough job of the deflection because I'm autistic. We're not good at that shit. But we can name racism in every medical field. Literally, particularly as it comes to Black women, literally every field, and it's so disconcerting.
I'm not sure because here it depends on which county you're in because each county has different rules. So Oakland County, Macomb County, Wayne County, it's all different. You have to be approved for it. Usually the authorizations will say either home, center, telehealth. It just depends. Most of the time, if you talk to the case managers, they'll let you know if your county approves that. We have some of our kids who get telehealth, but it has to be approved first. You know what I'm saying?
It's so disconcerting, but you know, there's just a beautiful space in the autism community that I have found myself in, and I'm really respect. I just really am. I'm so warmed by that, and I am so supported, and I really thank y'all for that because, you know, there's just so often where you know, and this is something that I think we all have to learn is that these, you know, doctors in general, like, they are learning, and they are trying to make the best of, like, what they know within the context of their own world. And so that's why so often you have to be your first step, you know? And, you know, when people say things like, well, no one can say they're diabetic without a diagnosis, etc., that is actually a really myopic and false it's a conflation. It's a false equivalency. You know, diabetes is a biological issue. It's not a psychological disorder. It's something that you can test for with actual blood tests. There is no blood test for autism.
At all.
And so that's a false equivalency. Ultimately, when you are getting an autism diagnosis, they're giving you the same tests that are available by, you know, that my psychiatrist provided to me. They're giving you the same tests.
Again, so even her saying her diagnosis came from her conversation with her psychotherapist, and that's kind of how the self-diagnosis works. But again, I don't think she's looking to get, like, services for her autism. It just helps her realize my brain is different, and I can keep learning. And if she wants to, she can go, because even if someone told her, what's today? It's April 27th. If she filmed that interview, let's say on April 10th, you know, let's say on April 1st is when she talked things through and assumed, figured out, was told by whoever else that she's autistic. The wait list to get on, she may not have been able to even get diagnosed yet. It also does not mean that she may not go get diagnosed later. Her point was, I don't want to spend all the damn money.
They're giving you the same test. It's just that you then have to pay into the diagnosis because that allows you to get money from the government. So they're not going to just give you that. So, you know, oftentimes we are forced to really expand our consciousness around these different spaces and how they interconnect and the intersectionality. They should that interconnect. Just blocking folks. And so, you know, I think it's really important that we identify these things because we're also in such a time of awakening. you know, we're also in such a time of, Kimmy, you're the moderator, just letting you know. We're also in such a time of, what's the word I'm looking for? Of learning. And, you know, what I'm doing is I'm learning about myself. You know, like I was watching that interview and I was like, oh, I can see why people don't like me.
I could too, and I like her. You know what I'm saying? But everybody isn't for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I think the same way, you know, we have people who we like, sometimes we don't. We have people who we sometimes like their opinion, sometimes we don't. Like I think sometimes y'all be mad at me, which is fine, or not mad at me. I think sometimes people will disagree with me, and it's fine because no one has to agree all the time. But again, her even saying, like, I see why some folk don't like me. I get it. I get it. I get it. Meaning she's at least self-aware enough to know she rubbed folk the wrong way. Okay. I agree with Daniel Price. Telehealth appointments will do no good if speech and or occupational therapy are needed, which is true. Usually telehealth is for like parent training, it's for conversation, stuff like that. It's not for actual when you have to be physically there with a child to have any behavior modification. So yeah, that's a great point.
I was like, I can see why people don't like me because, you know, I'm the kind of person where you're gonna receive me based on your based on your perception and based on your realities. So like the way that I talk, you could take one way as like, oh, she's like strict and stern, like a strict parent. But that same person could have had like a really good experience with like a teacher that spoke that way, and they would say, oh, she speaks like a stern teacher that like wants you to win. Right? So like the same person could look at the way I talk and be like, damn, she speaks like a drill sergeant, like she's trying to get you. But then the same person could have had like a really positive experience with like a very like direct and like regimental coach, and they would say like, oh, she speaks like a coach. So, you know, it's like, it really is perception, and it's and I trigger something in people. And I had a teacher, I had a professor tell me that I was a witch when I was in college, and I got really offended because he wasn't a professor I liked. So I was like, what's that supposed to mean? And he said, you are a witch because your presence brings the best out of those who don't know they have it, and it brings the worst out of those who are hiding it. And it's taken me a really long time to really understand that. It's taken me a really long time to navigate that. You know, I see people right now, like my name is trending, so you see a lot of stories that people are saying about me, some because they feel like there's a space right now to talk about it, and then some because they feel like there's an opportunity to make money off of it. Either way, you know, tell your story. Like, it's, you know, at this point I'm just like, whatever. My story is that I've been in process. My story is that I've been in process. My story is that I've also been like, I've had to access so many different people and spaces to advance this craft and this purpose. And
I think that's a good thing to even mention. You know, even her saying I'm in process, I think she means she's in process of trying to, you know, fix herself and realize why she's in the situation she's in. I also can agree with her in saying that, you know, she's having to deal with so many moving pieces, so many different even pieces, people, and situations. And that does not negate anybody else's experience with her that they did not like. Again, like I said, even with how Chris has the right to address his issues with Amanda, and hopefully they have that one-on-one thing or a conversation on it or whatever. But I feel like it's also okay to say, I'm trying to process changing. I'm trying to process being better. Even though I know some folk don't like me, I'm not going to change based on what they think. Because you can't live your life based on other people. But if you know in some aspects you have to change because you know you need to be better, that's different. But if you don't like my bluntness, if you don't like how I talk, I'm not going to change how I talk for you. I'm not. But I will recognize that sometimes I need to be sure that I'm not coming off too fucking harsh.
In that, you know, I've made mistakes, in that I've made errors of judgment, in that I've created environments that I think were more intense than people were. I feel like maybe that I created environments that were so intense that it was difficult for people to thrive in. And I've had to learn. I've had to learn. And, you know, with all this stuff going on right now, it makes me want to go in a hole. It makes me want to go in a hole and hide. And people are like, you know, you need to get off, you need to get off. And I had to say to myself, no, you need to be present. Because today I spoke in North Carolina and I delivered what I believe to be probably my best speech. I really believe it was the best speech I've ever delivered. And when people say that I play victim, I think it's fascinating because it is the exact opposite of a victim to be outside. You know, to be outside. And I think the fascinating part of it too is that, like, the stories that people have about me are rarely stories where I did something like specifically to them, and so it's difficult to identify where the corrective behavior is, other than to say, you know, it was unintentional and I apologize. I wouldn't want to be a professor, because if I'm a professor, I'm still back in the institution.
Somebody asked her, basically, because she's so smart, like, why would she not want to get back into college, be a professor to teach other people? Her thing is, nah, not for me. Thank you, Lisa E, for the super chat. Thanks for your commentary on the subject and not bashing her. Yeah, because I think it's the things where I don't like bashing people in general. I love having conversations and understanding different things. And because I felt like people are making it seem like she's deliberately trying to lie about something to get over. And my opinion is that's not what it is. So because I have a direct background with autism, diagnosing, the insurance piece of it, the clinician piece of it, let me just add my little 2 cents to make the conversation a bit more nuanced and just explain how you can't have a conversation about autism in such a short space on there, especially when you realize the person you're talking to can't comprehend racism. So I felt like, as a person in my past, when I was younger, I felt misunderstood because I felt sometimes people are quick to judge off quick shit. And I'm like, no, I like understanding things. So that way I have an informed opinion on stuff and I don't just sound stupid. And sometimes I know that y'all, meaning, the JayBirds, people around here, y'all don't have a chance sometimes to go and see all this other stuff that she says. So I was like, well, let me pull stuff from what y'all did not see and hopefully to show y'all what else she said that further kind of explain it. And even her saying, it was a failed attempt to pivot because I did not feel I was in a safe enough space to have a conversation about my medical whatever. I did not want to have to convince somebody of how I felt. So I kind of diverted and it just came off in a bad way. And what did the blog do? The blog would pick up that and then make that be the story. So, people I understand why people got pissed. However, I also feel like people would have been pissed regardless to what she said, because it was such a long interview with so many great moments. But let's focus on this one thing. And this way, it's a conversation. You hear me?
I can't be in an institution. I don't want to work for people. I don't do well working for people. I don't do well working for people because I really am an oddity. I'm weird and I'm art, I'm just like, and so it's taken me a long time to find a work group of people to work with that understand that. I'm also incredibly fastidious and I'm demanding that things are what they should be. And if you are not someone that is like that yourself, then I can be very intense.
And I can speak of that, not because of any autism or whatever, but just even in the workplace, you know, we as Black people, because I think most of us is Black, and me, I'm a Black woman. I feel like even in workspaces that sometimes Black women come off as mean, not because we're mean, but because sometimes we're very matter of factly. Sometimes we are looked at differently solely because the people who are interacting with us don't know how to interact with us, and sometimes that makes situations and conversations and interactions come off differently. And I feel like once you have the I have had to have conversations with Caucasian people at my job over the last 9 years to convince them, bitch, I'm not mean. I'm not. I'm in my work mode, and in my work mode, I'm very matter of factly. I'm very much so. If I ask you this question and you give me a response that does not answer my question, when I come back at you, I'm not being mean to you, bitch. I asked the question and you didn't answer it. So I'm reiterating that ain't what I asked you. I asked you A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you responded back to me, zebra. I didn't ask about a zebra. I asked about A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I'm saying? So the same way where you know because you are this way, but people who are working with you are not used to that. And then they feel like, well, you didn't smile at me, you snapped at me, you quickly whatever at me. They feel like bad. Now, also, that does not mean that in times that Amanda was not being a bitch or being mean. The same way sometimes at work, I will check a motherfucker because I'm aggravated. However, they also know Jaylee will be found in the day, and they know do not take it to heart because what they've gotten to know me. But I've said before how I was so pissed because a Caucasian person at my job years ago told our program director that I was mean to her, and I said I don't even talk to that person, and because I did not talk to that person, they perceived me to be mean. And I'm like, how am I mean? Because we have not talked. That just means I don't talk to you. You know? But once I was told what she did, and I then told our department, our department head person, I was like, I'm pissed, I'm leaving, I'm going on for the day. Bitch, I'm gone. And I grabbed my purse and my keys and I left for the day. Because I was that pissed. If not, I would have went off. And now, years later, that same person who was a clinician, who is now, she's over me. She's one of my bosses. She loves me because I wasn't mean, bitch. We just didn't talk. But so much of workplace balance comes from people feeling some kind of way because of how they perceive you, and it gets worse if how they perceive you is mixed with you coming off that way. And you just have to have conversations about it. If nobody knows that they feel like you a bitch, you're gonna keep being a bitch. So it's so for me when I defend Amanda in this way, meaning I'm not negating anybody else's rude interactions with Amanda. I'm speaking in general and trying to explain that sometimes people will feel like because just you are who you are, you're kind of just blunt and to the point. You're not fuzzy and you're not that. They perceive you as being mean. And then when you become actually mean and go off, oh, it's even worse. But if no one ever says, hey, how you spoke to me, you on some bullshit, bitch, and I want an apology today. You know what I'm saying? If no one has that conversation, it keeps going. That's why when some other bosses of other races are very rude and disrespectful to their employees, it's because employees sometimes do not feel capable of checking their boss. I'm going to check my boss every time. Because to me, boom, right here is key. Communication. You know? And sometimes it also means we also have to point out she's 42 now. Some of these interactions that she had where people were treated unfairly by her, she was younger and probably wasn't checked. And now in her 40s, she's having to check herself because of the mistakes she made and how she dealt with folk. But you have to grow and learn from shit.
So, you know, I know that about myself. And so I've had to learn how to hire with that consideration. I also know that this is how I talk. This is how I talk. This is how I talk. It's not going to change. I'm not going to start talking like this. I spent 3 years doing that with a man. Talking like this, to be soft. At a certain point, I started talking like a kid. Like, it's just, I can't do it anymore. It was masking for 3 years, just trying to be soft, and it didn't matter. It's so funny when I see people saying, oh, you know, you shouldn't have lied about your autism diagnosis. I did not lie. But the funny part about it is that people were saying I was lying when they thought that I had said there was a clinical. Which, of course, they misheard. But, so they were saying that regardless. Irregardless. But yeah.
Even folks who say, Amanda never smiles or crack jokes. I'm like, she does sometimes. She be smiling and cracking jokes. She be funny sometimes.
Yeah, like, I mean, I spent 3 years trying to exhibit softness. Even though, yes, that I talk like this. Yes, it was meant to be misleading. It's not meant to be misleading. That's not what I mean to say. But it was meant to be circuitous. Because I was being...
Child, when I said, what the fuck? Look, the words Amanda used in her vocabulary is great. But so, I'm like, what that word mean, child? I don't know. But I think it means, you know, it was meant to be, you know, pivoting. I would say pivoting.
Pressured about something that I shouldn't have been pressured about. And I did not deserve to be questioned in that fashion. If someone says they have ADHD, you don't say, well, how do you know? Like, it's a completely inappropriate and disrespectful question, like in a very real way. The only reason he was asking that question was to undermine it. So there was no reason for me to honor it with an answer.
Also, I want to point out that, you know, and folks who watched the whole interview with her and Shannon Sharp, you know, we saw the moments of her feeling like he's just trying to, you know, question me and make me feel invalidated in my own experiences. I feel like she was already on defense because of what we saw earlier within the interview. So even her saying, I wasn't about to be open even more because I felt like he wanted me to prove or to, you know, I was having a fight just to say what was going on. And I did not want to elaborate because I did not feel it was a safe space. But I'm already here. You know what I'm saying? So again, she's admitting that, again, she handled it in a way to where it did not come off the best, but I don't feel like her intention was trying to lie to people. Because if it was, she would not have said shit. She would have let it. Nobody would have known if she was or was not clinically diagnosed because of HIPAA. I feel like her expressing the differences, maybe this would have been a conversation. If she felt like it was a safer space.
And so I didn't honor it with an answer. I said what I said. I just didn't do a good enough job of saying what I said.
And what she said was, again, Shannon said, but have you been clinically diagnosed? And me, yes, there is a clinical diagnosis for autism. And at the bottom, she says, I understand my response may be confused to some, but I am clarifying it as I did in my life. Meaning, I'm trying to clarify the shit for y'all.
I also think it's interesting the judgment that so many of you all place on a situation that you've never been in. So when you are in a scenario and you have been interviewed for an hour and you are revealing something that is very personal to you in a space that you thought was safe that has become very contentious, very...
Come on. Thank you, girl, because I'm like, I didn't know what it meant. Okay. It means speaking in a roundabout way meant to deter from a direct meaning. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what it meant, but I felt like it was something like that. Pivot means, I'm saying, to go in the other direction, okay? But she used a different word that I can't pronounce.
Quickly, then you can ask me about why I did what I did. Because you will be speaking from a place, because you're not asking me for my answer. You're asking me because you have decided what the right thing to do was. But so often we don't really do ourselves or the other person the justice of considering that, hey, there's a myriad of reasons why things happen, and we can deduce that there's a myriad of reasons why things happen. And unfortunately, for most of us, the deduction is a negative one. That's usually what we land on. The deduction lands on being a negative one far too often. It's unfortunate that we do that. Because really, it's like we can identify that also maybe we don't know. And the other part of it is that we don't need to know. I don't think y'all really understand how long 3 hours is to be talking.
Child, I do. Because my lives be too damn long, y'all. And I've said it before. I've said when we've seen other folk who be on lives or whatever and they get caught up in shit, I'm like, y'all don't get how much mental fortitude it takes to have a conversation or, for hours on ends. And you hope and pray that you don't say nothing crazy. You have to be sure that you're not, it's a lot to do. And talking to someone who you don't know, because she don't know him, he don't know her. So you're basically talking to a stranger. You're hoping is good energy. And sometimes it is not. So even her admitting that, y'all don't get how hard it was to even sit there for a 3 hour tour. Y'all, we do this all the time. So y'all know it's a familiar space for me and y'all on the live, okay? But for that's different. She don't know that man, at all.
I think it's really important to really just excise ourselves from scenarios that we've never been in and just understand that we can't speak to that. We just can't. We just can't. I mean, I think that's just something that we should really try and do. I don't find myself watching basketball players and going, why would they do that? And really meaning it, because I'm not in a game. And let me just tell you, because this is a dumb question. Sometimes someone said, so you wanted a space where there was no pushback? Yes, that's typically what an interview is.
Yep.
A conversation? Yes. When people come on my podcast, Small Doses, there is no pushback.
It isn't.
I don't invite people on my show to push back.
And that's why everybody can't interview. And that's why some folks were saying that he was giving much more pushback and talking to Amanda than he had done in other interviews with other people. Because usually an interview, you're not pushing back on what someone's saying. You can have a follow-up question for clarity because you're wondering, and that's when you have an amazing flowing conversation. But pushback is something different. Pushback means, hey, if I come and talk to somebody, if they give an answer, I can say, well, that's not true. You're not supposed to give pushback. There's a way to handle the conversation to make the person feel comfortable enough to speak freely and openly to have dialogue.
We're so accustomed to conflict that we can't even conceptualize warm spaces.
Because the pushback and follow-up questions are two different things. Pushback is like because again, pushback means I'm interviewing Ara and asking him about the criminal crimes he's accused of. And when he said, well, I didn't do that. And they say, but what about the video? That's pushback because you are questioning somebody's actions and they're being tried for something. When someone is coming to you and you're supposed to tell them your life or whatever, it's not about pushing back and questioning them. Because when folks said Shannon Sharp didn't even question Cat Williams, he said he read like 8,000 books as a 3-year-old, whatever it was. Okay, like there was no pushback then. So folks' point was there was examples of times where there was no pushback for the people, but there was consistent pushback for Amanda, and she felt like she had to validate other people that she was while talking about her experience. So again, pushback is one thing. Follow-up questions is something different.
If you listen to Small Doses podcast, you do not hear pushback. People tell me their stories. People tell me their experiences. The only time you've heard pushback is when I'm speaking to Jason Lee and he's telling me his blog is not a gossip blog. Like, I'm like, yes, it is. It is a gossip blog. Or when I'm talking to Immortal Technique and he just won't answer a question. But if you tell me that, this is, okay, so, we had this one, Eridani. You should expect pushback when you're in the media. Are you in the media, Eridani? I don't think you are. I don't think you are. But I know that the spaces that I create are not about pushback. I am not an Israeli, army general lying about genocide. That is pushback. When you are going on a news show to discuss politics as a representative of a political space, that is pushback. That is when there's going to be pushback. When you are invited into a space as a guest, there should be a warmth and a receptiveness that is not about pushback. And no, you don't need pushback to create conversation. Being a conversationalist is not about pushback. And I want to say this because I want to introduce some other options for all of us, right? The thing about it is that when people are sharing their stories, no, you shouldn't be challenging their stories. No. It's odd to me that you guys are interacting with your peoples in your life like this.
If this would make me not talk to people sometimes. If I'm telling you something and if you're consistently questioning my experience, it's as if you're saying I'm lying and you're not really taking in what I'm saying. If you keep pushing back on what I'm saying, it's like, is you listening to me? I told you what happened. I told you I was fussing with my ex. He pissed me off. I threw his PSP out the window. He threw some hot sauce on me, and I was it's that kind of stuff. There's a way. Back when I was interviewing people, and I'm saying before we would interview people, before getting on the live, you would have this small talk backstage to make the person feel comfortable. It was never about pushing them or calling them out, because that wasn't the right space. You want them to be comfortable enough to, say whatever. And then that's what creates the conversation. If they say, hey, I have autism, I was diagnosed, or really, how would that experience being diagnosed? That's how you can ask a follow-up question without making it seem as if what they said wasn't true. That's called, but you have to, child, I'm saying, I'm qualified.
Because challenging someone's stories is really, what's the word I'm looking for? It's really adversarial. And it doesn't bring in. It repels. And I think there's a way to create safer spaces that we need to really talk about. Because I'm listening and I'm seeing that there is, this understanding that we should expect there to be like some adversarialness, and there just doesn't have to be. It doesn't. You really don't. Yes, Courtney, I'm just. You actively listen. You ask.
Come on now, Mo. Yeah, they're supposed to be conversational. They're not supposed to be combative at all. And in that interview, there was some combativeness from both Amanda and Shannon. However, Shannon being combative did not help Amanda feel soft and mushy inside to be more forthcoming. She was combative as well because she's not on the defense. But you're supposed to make your guests feel comfortable enough to talk. So much so they don't realize how much they have exposed of their life.
Questions because of curiosity, not because of contrarianism. You don't interact to argue. You interact to engage. And I think that's why.
If anybody was expecting an Oprah Barbara Walters style interview with Shannon Sharp, it's a ... for me. That's true. I fully agree.
I feel like when I do my interviews, so often people will say, wow, like I've never said this before. I've never said this before in this.
And that's a good interview. That's when someone does not realize they've just talked so much so that you now know their favorite color, their boyfriend did whatever back in the day. Like they're just freely talking because you've made it that kind of situation.
Space. And that makes me feel so good because it lets me know that I welcomed them in. And so much of these platforms are really built on conflict. Ooh, I've never heard that before. Play Big Queen. People love to predatory listen.
Predatory listen. When I heard it, I said, ooh, that sounds factual. And to me, what that means is people like the predatory listen, meaning they're looking for an angle to come at you with to make you, to make you look bad, basically. No matter what you're saying, they're looking to make you the predator where you're wrong in some kind of way. That's why I said, there are people I would never listen to, and I would give them a space to be like, oh, that's great. That's, the Trump man, Candace Owens or whatever, those folks, whatever. But sometimes I will listen. And what I enjoyed was there are people I saw who said, they don't really like Amanda, whatever, but they still listen to the full interview and they got a better understanding of her, even though it did not change their opinion of her. They did not listen to it just to bash her. They took the good part. It was a good interview, and that's the get you got there. But some folk listen to shit and they don't care. They're gonna hate you at the end, and they're not gonna even try to acknowledge any little nuggets of goodness that you said throughout the whole time.
I've never heard that before. I love that. The predatory listen. It's so true. They love to predatory listen. Interviewer does not question their interviewee with doubt. No. A good interviewer welcomes their interviewee in with curiosity. And curiosity does not undermine validity. So, for instance, like some of the ways that I think the questions could have been verbalized that could have, I'll just use the interview for example, some ways that questions could have been re-verbalized that would have not been undermining, but that would have been curiosity is like, oh, so when I say like, and I felt like my teacher was racist, why did you feel that she was racist? And then I share my reasons. And then if that person says, oh, well, that doesn't feel like racism to me, that's the end of that. There's no convincing. So the problem comes in trying to convince someone else that your version of their experience is the correct version. That's where the problem comes in. You might take their story and say, oh, that sounds different to me. And then you express how it sounds different to you. And then that's that. That's that. I have to block the negativity because I have to stay lifted. I have to stay lifted because I really...
So because she was on live and a lot of folk were commenting, and so as she was talking, she would sometimes pause in between to block people. And so someone asked her, like, well, why are you blocking people out? Like, why block it? And this is her saying why she has to block out the negativity.
I really do have work to do and I have purpose. And so many of y'all have told me that and spoken into me. And it kept me from listening to the shadows that try to speak to me. It really did. It kept me from listening to the shadows that try to speak to me. All of us have shadows that are within us, and some speak louder to others than they do to others. And you all's support was louder than the shadows, and I really appreciate that in a very, very real way because it's something I'm battling all the time.
And I ended it there. Mainly to show people her saying how she has to block out negativity because of her own shadows. Because I think people forget that there are, for sure, feelings that people have that if certain people listen to those shadowy feelings and they are then no longer here, you don't realize how much you can push somebody to not be here anymore. And that's why I said, it's not even about people liking Amanda, whatever, but I still feel like the hate train that she gets is not fair, and I also feel like the interview she did, like, I do think her guard was up because of how she felt Shannon kept, back and forth with her. And that's unfortunate because, Amanda, let me see if it was on her page still. Amanda had posted her own post, but I want to be sure it's still up. I saw it somewhere, but let me be sure. Let me be sure. Blah, blah, blah. Boom. I want to show y'all how she even got on Shannon's show. So after a lot of the back and forth, after a lot of other people being on Shannon's show, Amanda posted this on her social media.
Love to do Shannon Sharp's show. I think it would actually be career changing, and not just for like my career, but for the fact that in showing that even when you keep it a buck about things, even when you stand 10 toes down on issues that are global and political, that even when you align yourself with integrity and work independently, that you can still have a fruitful career. And I think that would be career changing for a lot of folks and for expanding the idea of what a career in this industry actually can be.
So that was like,
Mr. Sharp, if you were to have me on the show, I could make myself available.
So that was when the narrative was going out of like, oh, Amanda isn't liked, Amanda isn't working, blah, 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 blah. And her saying, my life and still being able to work in this field, it can be inspiring to people to see how you can make your own lane here. So Shannon Sharp, y'all know when folk be on Shannon Sharp thing, it goes viral. People's stories go viral. And with Amanda being on there, the fact that other great things that she said aren't going viral is because of the back and forth between her and Shannon Sharp. Because he was doing what? Back and forth with her. And her point was, to me, and the Shannon Sharp of it all, she felt like she kept having to defend shit. And she don't want to do that.
I was really dreading today, and I felt very dense and very heavy. And you all have really poured in to me with so much love. And I was not expecting that shit. I was not expecting it. So I just wanted to say thank you. And I appreciate you. I was resting on my hand, so that's why this looked like this. But I thank y'all from the bottom of my heart.
All some people want to do is be able to express themselves and not be misunderstood, and hopefully grow from their mistakes in their past. And that's why I'm not a person that is going to vilify Amanda, because again, I don't have a personal experience with her. The same way as a lot of people on this chat don't. The same way a lot of folks in the atmosphere don't. They're taking on how other people have said their experience was with her, and her being mean and rude, and stuff like that. So it's just it's a bit different, and I am hoping that she as she's been saying, after all this stuff has happened within the past like month or so, she has been having to reprocess and relearn how to be. Not changing herself, but sometimes knowing her actions need to be different. And hopefully anyone that she offended in any one-on-one way that had an actual experience with her, it can be fixed. I don't know what I was answering. MU went into a different direction. She wasn't able to she wasn't able to get into the work that she actually is doing and how she's been able to create a language stuff. And and that's true. And in my opinion, because she kept fussing with them. She kept having to defend herself and explain herself and having to explain to him why he was a little bit crazy. Shannon was being completely contrarian in an interview. She could say the sky is blue, and the man was going to say it's orange. I'm wondering why it was so tense between the two. I feel a part of me feel like he thought, let me try to push back, because a lot of people say Amanda always acts like she's the victim. But what if she was the victim in those situations? She talked about maybe 3 situations when she was in school, what the teacher being racist, when she was at Disney or Nickelodeon and the kids were being a bit racist, and then the stuff with her and Issa's publicist. And in those situations, folks said, well, she's always acting as if she's never wrong. And I feel like, but if in those situations I wasn't wrong, what do you want me to do? Why do y'all have a need to want me to just not be the person who didn't do shit? We know there are celebrities, but we don't know it all. But we don't like them. Don't know them, have never met them, but some people just rub you the wrong way, and that's fine. It's very possible that Amanda has rubbed people the wrong way. However, that does not negate how it made her feel if she felt like she did not do nothing wrong. But the interview, to me, it could have been better if Shannon, because at one point he would ask her questions and she would try to respond, and then he would cut her off and change direction. To me, the moment Shannon Sharp said, so your mother's white, I would have left. Because if you couldn't do nothing, you could not Google Amanda Seales, the basic shit, where she's from, who her parents are. Because he had a little booklet thing as if he had a written down, Amanda Seales' mama is white. Ask about the white mama and white daddy. So it's like, where did it come from? Like, to not even say, hey, tell us about your mom. And the get you got to too is that Amanda Seales over the years have said over and over again, people like to claim that her mom is white to try to invalidate her and her protection of Black people, saying you can't even really protest. You're not even really Black. And she was like, that's not true. But people have used that narrative to try to beat her down to being like, oh, she can't really protest and da 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 da. The mama white. I'm like, her mama not white. And if you've seen her mama doesn't look white. So to me, that means Shannon Sharp, even his team, no one even did the bit of due diligence to make sure they had basic facts right. In that interview, it was a lot of bullshit. And some folk will still not admit that simply because they don't like Amanda. I'm happy that I've seen a lot of people YouTubers and folks in the comment section saying how, you know, they gave her props and way that she deserved. And that was great. But some folk was like, oh, she said she was diagnosed and she ain't off with her head. And it changed from all the stuff folks got from that interview that was good to now we have to hate her again because she lied. She lied. And I'm like, technically, she didn't lie. However, she did not have the space to fully explain how she came to even think that she was autistic. They did not even get to that point because of how he questioned her. She didn't feel safe saying it to him because she felt like I'm going to then have to defend it, because when I told him about my teacher, he said, well, maybe she's not racist. Maybe she don't like kids correcting her. Maybe if the kid was white. What does that have to do with what I told you I felt? Oh, the kid's not racist. Maybe the kid just didn't know no better. But I knew better, and I knew what they was wrong. But again, when you make a person feel like they have to defend themselves, and I'm tired of arguing with you, I'm just gonna not say shit. I'm gonna say, yes, there is a yes, there's a yes, you can be clinically diagnosed with autism. Yes. Mm-hmm. Let's move on. Because I'm not finna fuss with you. But from the moment so your mom was white, and she was like, no, my mom's black. Oh, she remember? No, my dad's black too. Little stuff like that. And even when she would say what her experience was, well, maybe what did you do to make Easter publicists not like you? Maybe I didn't do shit. Maybe she just did not like me, because sometimes you just don't like people, and that's fine. You don't mesh. Even if you are around some folk, you realize, I thought I liked them, but not really. Like, yeah, we don't mesh. Now it's like a one-on-one thing, okay? And then they hold on to not liking you. If you watch the interview in full, there was one point where he said, this is a safe space for you to say your whatever. And she just said, okay, have a hug. You know, I have to warm up to people, you know. She thanked him for being like, you know, it was a unique space and blah, blah, blah. And also, let's also say this, and I'm ending it here. When you are recording something and you're in it, watching it back is different. That's why I never watch back. I have not watched back one of my lives or whatever's in probably 5 years. When I first did YouTube, I would watch myself because I was editing. Now I don't, because you don't. No, ma'am. It's different. It's different. So I can feel her like I sat there for all those hours. I don't recall nothing, and you then watch it back and you see how it was cut and edited, what was cut out. She said how he had said other things they cut out. Because again, it was cut down to 3 hours and 10 minutes. I prefer interviews that are just not cut and edited. Like let's just run it, and let it be that. Because that way, whatever they said is full out. So we're not gonna act like Shannon was not a bit different in that interview with Amanda. And in closing, hopefully she grows to be a better person, and she's no longer treating people in a way that make them feel like they don't like her because of their actual one-on-one experience. So that's what I took from it. But If y'all don't like a man, I fully get it. But I just want y'all to know, you know, we are all flawed individuals. No one is perfect. And that's just life. I'm not perfect at all. I'm close to it, y'all. I'm a good person. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has their flaws. But the pylon that she's getting currently is completely unfair. Completely unfair. Like the treatment that she gets is what Candace Owens should get. And that's that on that. Anyway, y'all, I gotta go. I am done. I hope y'all had a good time with me today. I had a good time with y'all. I love you all. I hope the bits of information on autism and diagnosing and coverage of services or whatever, I hope that was helpful to y'all. I will be live tomorrow for something. I don't know what. My Love at a Lockup review will be up tomorrow as well as a premiere. So do not forget to watch the premiere of Life. What's it, Life? What's my Lockup thing? Okay. Y'all have a safe weekend. I love you all. Be good to each other. Be good to yourselves and whatnot. And I gotta go. Bye.